Hello and welcome to my chess channel. My name is Feher, and in this video I'm going to show you one of my best chess games. I played this game against Doros-Radu Marian in 2011 at the European Youth Championship. I'm playing this game with the black pieces, so I'm showing the board from the black's perspective. My opponent started with e4, and I decided to go with the c5, the Sicilian defense. Knight f3, d6, d4, so these are all very standard moves. C takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3. In this position black has many continuation. I opted for a6, the so-called Najdorf variation that is very popular even nowadays and used to be the favorite of Robert Fischer and also Garry Kasparov. My opponent played bishop e3, which is one of the sharpest lines. His plan is to develop with queen d2, long castle, and then launch an attack against my king. I played e5, hitting the knight, so the knight has to move, knight b3. I develop with my bishop to e7, and then he goes along with his plan, queen d2. I castle short, and he castles long. So the players castle to the opposite side, white castle to queen side, I castle to the king side. Such positions are usually becoming like a race. So black will try to checkmate the white king on the queen side, and white will launch an attack against my king on the king side. And whoever is quicker is going to win. So I don't waste any time in the game, and I already start pushing my pawns with e5. So my plan is very simple, pushing a4, hitting his knight, and probably also to a3 to weaken up his king's position. So my opponent understandably wants to stop me from doing this, so he played bishop b5 to guard the a4 square. I played bishop d7, trying to eliminate his defender and again trying to push a4. White takes on d7 and I take back with the queen. And in this position he goes with a4. So this stops me for good from pushing my pawn to a4. However, it leaves a huge weakness on b4, and the knight would look amazing on b4. So my plan is to put the knight on b4 in the future. But before doing that, I played rook c8. The actual plan will be clear in a couple of moves why I did this. My opponent plays f3, preparing his attack on the king side. Knight a6, I develop my knight, and then g4, he starts pushing on the king side. And this is the first critical position of the game. So I invite you to stop the video and think how you would continue with black here. Otherwise, in this video, I'm going to just go on and explain. So in such positions, white knight on c3 is a very strong piece. This defends the white king. It also defends the a4 pawn at the moment, and also the d5 square. So a very common move in such positions is that black sacrifices his rook for this c3 knight, and this is exactly what I did to eliminate the defense of the white king. So well, my opponent did not want to take with the pawn, that would ruin his pawn structure, so he took with the queen. However, the king will be chased from this square away as well, because I continued with knight b4, and immediately there is a huge threat of knight a2 check that would hit the king and also the queen. So my opponent plays queen c4. However, now I can play rook c8, attacking his queen again. It's also not just the queen, but actually the whole c file behind the queen. So he plays queen b5, but now I can take on c2 with a check. He moves away to b1, and in this position, obviously, as black, we are the attacking side, so we do not want to exchange queens, so I sidestep to e6. And now I'm hitting the knight, but actually it's not only the knight, but also the a2 square behind it. So the knight cannot just move anywhere because queen a2 would be mate. So my opponent plays knight c1. And this is another critical position. Once again, you can stop the video and think about how we would continue with black. So in this position, there is basically one true defender left for the white king, which is this c1 knight. And this is also the knight that guards the squares around the queen, so also the b3 square and the a2 square. So for that reason, I decided to eliminate this last defending piece, so I sacrificed my other rook as well for a knight. So white cannot recapture with the rook, or nor with the bishop for the same reason, because queen a2 would be immediately mate. So the only way white can recapture is with the king. And now the black queen can enter into the white's position, queen b3. Again, double attack, so queen c2 is a mating threat, and also the bishop is hanging. So my opponent played queen a2, guarding both the bishop and defending against the mate on c2. And in this position comes actually my favorite move in the game. Once again, you can stop the video if you want to figure out yourself. Otherwise I go on. So black already has a queen and a knight very well positioned for the attack, but there are two more pieces that could be included in the game and into the attack. And to include more pieces comes this silent looking move, d5. The idea is very straightforward. If white takes the pawn, then I would give a check on a2. Now if white moves to b1, then I can play knight c3 check, which is a double attack again, and it wins the queen. So for that reason, for the knight a2 check, white could try king d2, but actually it is also insufficient because bishop b4 check would be mate immediately. And finally the bishop arrived at the party and it was already mate. So for that reason, to d5 my opponent tries queen d2, but yeah, it's very insufficient. Like now many moves actually wins with black. I decided to play d4. This actually takes away the c3 square from the white queen, and yeah, white is totally busted, so it's going to be mate in a few moves. My opponent played rook h e1, trying to include his rook into the defense, but it's way too late. I played queen c4 check, and my opponent in this position my opponent resigned because the only legitimate move would be king b1. But then after queen e2 check, king c1 and queen a1 check is not only check, but it's mate as well. Yeah, so this was the game I wanted to show you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like this video, and I'm also planning to do more chess videos, so you can subscribe to my channel in order not to miss the new videos. See you in the next video.